I'll take a motion to approve the minutes first for 9/18/24.
I have a question.
Question.
Number 8, appointing district council.
Number 8.
Now, there's nothing wrong with what it says there, but it's what it doesn't say that I have a problem with, and I don't know if this is the time to do
Yes,
it.
this is the time to do it.
Well, I went and I did the tour with Mark over at the transfer station. And while we were over there, I asked him if one of these 2 attorneys worked with Casella and represented him. And you said yes, but it wouldn't be a problem. And I said, well, I think that's a conflict of interest. So I said, is it the one for $2.75 an hour? And he said, no, the one for $2.25, I think. So, it doesn't say that in here, and I think that's something we should have known, because I don't think we would have approved that. I think dealing with an attorney, and there's a lot of attorneys, and I think dealing with an attorney that pretty much runs most of Rutland County Solid Waste District is not a good idea.
These attorneys are being hired based on need per item, correct?
Right. And there's a lot of work that's been delayed, and right now, you're not going to get an attorney that is completely not seeing some interaction in at least one of our haulers or some degree. So that's why we selected 2 to cover for that, in case that comes up.
Absolutely true. We have haulers. We have a lot of haulers that don't pay, and we have an attorney going after them. But at the same time, who is the majority of our hauling done by?
Mr.
Who
Chairman.
pays the most money?
I just want to see if it's a point of order, if we should be discussing this item, or if we're just
Making
approving
changes.
that the notes from the previous
We can talk
discussions
about
were
it at the
accurate.
end.
Yeah, I didn't know if this was the time or if
do you
we
want,
should.
do what you can do here, you want to change something or add something to the minutes?
That was said during.
That was said.
It's a record of last meeting.
This is-
Well, like I said, there's nothing wrong with what it says.
Okay.
It's what it does not
Okay.
say.
Okay.
So your issue would have to come under other items,
Other,
Okay.
yeah, other business.
okay? Anything else? Any deletions or additions to the
Yes.
minutes?
Under number 14, public comment, where it says Mr. and Mrs. Elnicky spoke about how they would like, blah, 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 blah. I think the other thing that should be written in there, even though we received the letter, I think it would be good to mention in there and add that Stephanie Elnicky stated she would send a letter to all of the board members of Rutland County Solid Waste, which Mark forwarded the letter to all of us. But I think that should be added.
Do you want this added in?
Yes. And there's one more thing.
Okay,
that I-
wait a minute, before we do that, we need a motion to accept that addition?
Well, do we want to do a motion that if she has?
Oh, you got another one? Okay,
I think she has
Do them
another
all.
one she wants to.
do them all, all right.
And number 13, the manager's report. It says the Casella lease agreement and Casella transportation and disposal agreement are in the works and were sent to council on January 12th, 24, which I don't know if we had council on that. But what I'm wondering is that for the transfer station? Is that their contract that's running out?
The statement is in there because it was on my manager's report, and it was left on there for previous meetings. And when you hired them, when we took care of that issue, it's no longer on there.
So the Casella lease agreement and Casella transportation and disposal agreement are in the works and were sent to council. What does that mean, in the works, the Casella transportation and disposal?
Negotiations with the council.
Well, it was.
Is that for the leasing out of transfer station?
It's for the MRF and the transfer station. It is.
Okay,
It
all right.
is something that was, it's something that the district should take a look at their leases. and
Absolutely.
When they're about to expire. presented to council for assistance. And back then, I did send it to council. I haven't heard anything
Right.
for a while. So hence the new idea of reaching out to council. And the board approved, authorized the manager to engage 2 attorneys to take care of all this stuff. And it's in the works really now.
Well, what I have a problem with is if this lease agreement with Casella is running out.
Point of order, is this an amendment to the minutes?
Right.
Or is this?
No, this is another one like my first one.
So you
Okay,
need to add
this
that
would be
in.
a-
Add it
Not
in.
later.
Okay.
It's
We'll
not
talk
an
at the
amendment, you're
end
not
of the
changing
meeting.
what's already there.
Okay, so the only thing we're changing is number 14.
Right,
Motion to accept
And then we can talk about
minutes
that.
as amended.
as amended. Still here a second. Seconded. Any debate? All in favor, say aye. Okay. Before we begin, the people at home, I think I have to have you turn off your mics or mute yourself because we have some problems with our system here. It has back feed or whatever.
Your video.
So if you want to get our attention, raise your hand or press the hand symbol on the program there.
So mute your video and sound unless you need to speak. You can raise your hand.
Right. We're not trying to turn you off, we're just trying to get the bandwidth to work. Okay. So, is there any more additions to the agenda tonight? Before we get into our meeting here on the agenda.
Nomination.
Oh, yes, we need to add the nomination of vice chair for the district board of supervisors. Needs to be added. Anything else? Okay,
Who's vice chair?
nobody yet. We're getting there. So, we can start the meeting now. So I'll take nominations for the vice chair. Nominations are now open.
I'll nominate Gabe.
I'd second that.
Any other nominations? If there isn't any, I need a motion to close the nominations.
Motion. Second.
This is a non-debatable item, so all in favor say aye, accepting this nomination.
Aye.
Raise your hands on the TV.
There we go. Yep. Paul's.
Paul?
So we got 2 Pauls.
We got 2 balls.
2
Both the
PDs.
desktop and
Yeah.
Oh, he's on 2 different screens.
I'm on there twice.
Okay, so you're all in favor of this motion? Just say yes or no.
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. Motion carries. Item 3, outreach, transfer, station updates.
Desna's still in North Carolina. She'll be back on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Because of
If she can get out of North
That's
Carolina.
the issue. yeah.
So we're moving beyond that?
We'll move you on.
So this is going to be moved to the next meeting? Okay, number 4, RFP, metal recycling and hauling. Mark?
This was referred to the executive board, and the executive board did meet recently, and there's been some discussion within that board, and we're here today to, I believe, the E-board wanted to present their discussion to the full board, and go from there.
Did we make a motion?
To talk about what you
No,
decided?
we made a motion to, for the full board to approve.
Yes.
And that motion was for GHR Enterprises, am I correct?
That's correct.
So are you saying the board doesn't get to discuss what
No,
you
no,
just...
it's got to be moved to the board.
Okay,
It's coming from the E-board, it's there
to the board.
to the board.
Okay.
For approval. So I need a motion to put that on the table.
I'll make a motion, we put it on the table for this week.
Second.
Drop.
For the hauling scrap metal,
Yeah, for holiday, scrap metal this season.
okay? So if there's no more debate, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anything at home? Everybody's in agreement at home, okay? So now we need to put a motion, no, the motion is on the floor already. We brought it to the board, now the board needs to make a motion. Am I correct?
Yep.
So I will entertain a motion, or do you want to talk about it first?
Well, I don't want to make a motion unless we talk about it.
Yeah, I would just ask if someone from the union could summarize why the
Yeah.
board felt comfortable
What did they
moving forward.
feel?
Of the numbers, I don't have my sheet in front of me.
Is Nancy raising her hand?
Nancy's got
Nancy,
her
got your hand up, go ahead.
Yeah, I do. I have a few, I looked into this a little bit more, and I had a few concerns after I read through. First of all, the letter from Earthways says that they have a 3-year contract. Is that true, Mark? It shouldn't be up for renewal until March of 2026?
Didn't she get a copy of that?
That's in the contract.
No, it's in the packet, there's a letter from Earthways. That was one thing I wanted to clarify, if he's correct about that. Also, looking through there, he talks a bit about separating the non-ferrous. I wonder if the cheaper prices are because they're assuming that we have separated it, and that may not be as simple a task as envisioned. But he has a proposal to conduct a pilot program for 3 months when he provides us with information as to how to sort and waives trucking fees and gives us some containers to see how we can manage that with staffing and the separating of the non-ferrous, which apparently is not as simple as I was thinking. So I wonder how easy it is for us to compare these prices when we may have to put staffing time into this particular metal item. So I think those are the main things that caught my interest. Wanted to clarify the contract renewal, and also why it might not be a good plan to try a 3-month pilot program to see how separating the non-ferrous works for us, and if we have the staffing for it, and I probably can take some equipment depending on what we're separating.
May I speak, Jim?
Yes,
So I am glad that Nancy noticed that, because I don't understand, is this like out of the blue that we got this, that we're going to try somebody else new? Or has this been in a plan for several months?
This has been a plan for at least 2 months, 3 months. When the request for proposals went out there, and not be
So you put requests for proposals out?
I talked to the
You
board.
didn't just
I
call
put
people?
request for proposals.
Okay.
It was notified on the website, and the state website. Phone calls went out to many vendors, only 3, to catch you up on where we are today.
Yeah.
Only 3 sent it proposals. These are within your packet that we saw at your last meeting, and we're seeing it again this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between this meeting and the last meeting, there's been updates.
Yeah, the numbers
The
were changed.
updates were changed based on recalculation by an oversight by myself.
which we asked for.
That's right. This paperwork in the contract is something that I received after your last meeting, in between, just before the e-board meeting. I got that, so I was able to send it out to people. And up until then, I'd never seen a signed contract. And this is within the records. I seen the contract, but nothing signed. I asked for a signed contract many months ago, and I wasn't able to receive it. I wasn't thinking there was one that existed. And it's been a long time, 21 years.
21 years, yeah?
Since this has been reevaluated.
Jim's the one that signed it.
That's right. So,
Yeah, but
way
you
back when.
think that he would have had something on record here, because, I mean, what do you do? I mean, what kind of a manager of a, is this a
I
multi-million
can't go-
dollar business? I mean, why would you not have your contracts available to
I can't go backwards.
So there is a contract,
Things were
and,
a little different back then,
yeah,
which they're not now.
right. So there is a contract. But the other thing that bothers me with that is that Meadows is not like everybody thinks things are easy. Like Nancy said, I don't think getting these precious metals, which is only like 5%, like they said in the letter, if you Google it and look it up, and it has to be pure, and it has to be clean. And in order to put the amount of time and energy into making sure that it's like that, you've already lost money. Plus, I notice in the letter it says, do you have the personnel to do this labor-intensive work? We don't even have enough personnel now, and we haven't for many months, at the transfer station. And then it says, do you have the training? Well, no, nobody's trained for doing that, because they've never had to do it. And then it asks about the tools. We don't have the tools. And does your insurance, is this going to change your insurance? Having the cut metal?
No.
No, okay.
It's a recycling.
And, I mean, I don't think this is an easy thing. Now, it did say at the bottom of the second page about the fact that Mr. Shea said we had no references. And then she said about 21 years in, as well as Addison County Solid Waste. Did anybody call Addison County Solid Waste and ask for a reference on how they were with their metals? Because I did. And they're very happy with it.
I corrected that situation. You
Okay.
called for 3 references, I received 2, so that's why you see the 2.
Okay.
No, they didn't give 3 references. And that's
So
how
I
it
do
did.
like the fact that the first step is offering a pilot program, like Nancy mentioned. I mean, it doesn't look like you're gonna be, it looks like it could be a win-win situation. It's not a huge loss. Plus, I mean, if there is a contract and you're gonna cut through the contract, then you have the possibility of being sued because you're breaking the contract.
Yeah.
So my personal opinion would be to go with the pilot program and see how that works. I also like the idea about the battery. How do we deal, I mean, that's another subject, I guess, but I like the idea about the batteries because I know they're dangerous.
We handle batteries as it is.
Right, but she says, it says in here, by Kevin and Stephanie, we would suggest that you consider palletizing and selling your batteries. You do not do so currently. We have found it to be beneficial to other customers to do so at 0.12 pound, 8124 market price. So,
What do we do with the batteries now?
We have a company come and get them. This is an attractive thing, there's other
and
companies
do they pay us?
They don't. There's
We
other,
pay them.
no.
You just
They
collect them.
come and pick it up for free?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that attract you. If you take a look at the price breaks of each
Yeah.
of the proposals, you'll see the price breaks for batteries.
The other thing I did do is I went to Plains Road and I checked out that metal facility, scrap metal facility. And it does not compare to the Middlebury facility that I believe we used, that I also went down and looked at. I don't, it's not like apples to apples. And it seems like there's more experience and more knowledge. And you know, you're saying that it's been a long time, it's been 21 years. Well, how many years has Casella been in charge of everything they're in charge of at the transfer station? I think it's been over 21 years. It's just a yes or no, over 21 years.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's over 21 years. So I don't think the years has that much to do with it. It's almost like, well, they've been doing it for 21 years, we're gonna give somebody else an opportunity. Well, this is all about money and saving money and making sure that we're doing the best for our customers. So I agree with Nancy with how she was talking about the pilot program. And that's exactly what Kevin and Stephanie, who signed the letter, had suggested that they were willing to do.
Mr. Chairman or Mr.
Yes.
Manager, is there, can you describe for me a little bit more about the status of the contract that Mr. Alnicki is referring to?
what you see before you is what I received a few days ago.
Mhm.
And it would probably not be a bad idea to reach out to council to be advised on an opinion on this. I would suggest that happen, and I could do that.
Is our intention this evening, Mr. Chairman, to make a motion to accept one of these?
That was the intent.
Would it be prudent to table this, or is that not within the timeframes that we need to hit?
I think it wouldn't be, there's nothing wrong with tabling it until I could find out from council on at least the agreement that we have in place that has a signed contract. I think that's prudent.
The old contract that I see was from 2008 to 2011, 3 years. Then I didn't see anything after that. Now they're going to 2026. From 2011 to 2026, I don't see where it did a step-by-step every 3 years, or updated every 3 years or nothing. It went from 2008 to 2011. Then it says possible 3 years in between time, which every 3 years, okay. But it was never showed in writing that after that. Everybody took it for 3 years. So if you go 3 years at a time,
It's 3 years unless we terminate.
right, unless we get terminated by either direction.
Because it does say the contract beyond the applicable cure period, and this contract has not been terminated by NEP, because the contract shall be extended automatically for another 3-year term unless terminated sooner by the district sending notice to NEQS 30 days prior to the expiration of the preceding contract term.
So
It's written down
is it,
how you're supposed to end it.
are we to interpret that Earth Waste's interpretation of their contract
They're still in effect.
is that every 3 years, if Rutland County does not take a proactive step to say no thank you, then it
It's automatic renewal.
it renewals to 3 years, 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. So, I would, unless you, Mr. Shea, or you, Mr. Chairman, believe that we should bypass this concern and that, or there's some other motivating factor that encourages us to make a decision tonight, I would suggest that we explore the legitimacy and what steps to take based on this information. I think we, as someone who's had a long-term relationship with Earth Waste, I think all parties involved have earned that courtesy, at least, and then we can make a more informed decision following that information rather than the hearsay and our interpretations of it. And perhaps this is what our new council should look at if our old council is not able to respond.
Well, we definitely can help with council.
So I will entertain a motion to refer to council.
So moved.
I second.
Any more debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. And then you can table it.
I move to table this. Do we have to move, or do I just tell them?
Just say you want to table it.
I
Move to table.
I move to table this discussion.
Second.
Second. Any other debate? If not, say aye. Or
Aye.
Nays? I don't see any nays. It passes.
May I say one thing about metals?
One thing about what?
Metals.
I would,
We just tabled it.
I know, it has nothing to do with
That
the
means the
vote.
debate's over on that issue.
I know, it's not a debate. It's not a debate.
so maybe at the end, after we
At the
finish the
end, put that
meeting,
in the-
Okay.
just for the sake of
Concern.
time, not for the
Okay.
sake of,
Okay, item 4 is done. Item 5, approve the budget meeting schedule. And that is on page 8. Thank you. motion to accept the schedule?
Motion. Second.
Any debate on the schedule? Everybody understands the schedule? Right here. Yeah. This is usually the standard procedure that we've done for the last 4 years, 5 years.
And some of these dates are public. Our hearing date needs to be this date. It has to happen.
It has to happen on the 30th.
Yes.
So what is that has to happen?
The
Public
date-
hearing. The
Of
budget
the
hearing
budget
is on
hearing on the
December
30th.
30th. That's a public hearing.
Has to happen, no matter what.
That has to happen by statute.
So if we are ill-prepared for that, then it still happens. So
So there's a motion on the floor to accept the 25 budget schedule.
I have one quick question for
Yep.
Mr. Manager. Mr. Shea, do you feel that this schedule is attainable
I do.
with your budget
Yes.
preparation and your needs to compile this
Yes.
backup information?
Moving through the budget season, this has worked without issue in 5 of my previous budgets. I'd like to have an open door policy, which a lot of this stuff is not on the agenda, so when someone has questions, and you can bring up, if you have a whole list of things, give me a call, sit down with me anytime, and we'll talk about it. I value these opinions, these ideas. It brings to a bigger story when we can have it in a report for the board to be prepared to include those ideas, as opposed to having idea here, idea there, and you spend 4 hours doing this and everyone's falling asleep.
Let us know that this is not an item that happens year-round and requires additional resources and time allocation as you prepare for this, and these dates are not particularly flexible, so I felt now was the time to ask if you, to confirm that you feel confident that your resources are in place and your systems are robust to get us to
Absolutely.
live up to these dates. Thank you very much.
There's still a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
How about at home? I don't hear any no's. So all in favor, motion passes. Next item is number 6, the draft 2025 capital improvement plan, and that is on page 9 in your packet. For the new members, so they understand why this is happening, we've done for, this is our third year. We've done for 5 years. Before, we never had a capital improvement plan. So what we do, we actually take and put aside in the budget money for the capital plan, which is part of the expense process, okay? And we put this in this account to save for projects that the district lays out. And you should see there's a timeline for the projects. We just, our accounts right now are a little low because we just paid for the project outside the door here. The
Stormwater
runoff, thank you very much. Stormwater runoff, which was about $400. And that project is now complete.
$400 or
$400,000.
$400,000?
Deal.
That was a
One little drain is not even $4.
It's less than any of the ones I've done recently.
So, this is to be moved to the executive committee to add into the budget process, correct?
Yeah, it's part of the, this is a time where I'd like to solicit ideas. I could talk about what we've done and so forth for those that are new. And if you take a look, if you turn the page on the other side, we looked at 2014. And if you take a look at the annual reports that we have budget reports in that ever since I've been here. It gives a lot more detail as you go through the year to the year to the year. And then what I did was one previous year to see what we did last year and to see what we're doing right now. We're looking to take a look at the amount of revenue. And this is up $10,000 from last year. But the things that are priorities right now is getting a little bit more refined and strategic. We're looking at our loader, which is starting to age. We're looking to put that on the map to get a new one in 2028.
Mr. Manager, a quick question to interrupt. I believe we corrected this, and I realize it's a minor item. The hours on the loader are in fact 9,000 hours and not 94,000.
Yeah, I didn't correct that, and that's
I know it's a small item, but...
On the Caterpillar wheel loader?
Yes, yes, ma'am, and that is 94,000 is an unbelievable number.
That's what
And-
I never think.
And if anyone here who I don't know what your expertise is with such things, that if you saw that number and you had knowledge of this equipment, it would blow your mind. And 9,000 to 10,000 hours on a machine is not unheard of, but is absolutely
Pretty well had.
at the end of life.
Correct.
So it's not like mileage like the next vehicle down that has 173 that most would consider that to be a lot of miles.
Can I ask you a question about that wheel loader? So that's not used for trash because Casella uses their own. What do we use it for? The mulch?
using the mulch, moving items like
The
metal,
bricks and the cement or
everything,
something?
everything. It's used a lot.
To push the metals back?
Move the
To
guys
grade,
back.
to help maybe assist in snow if you need to, push back some snow banks, whatever. To grade the road that goes around.
Oh, yeah.
It's used frequently.
Is it shared with pushing trash at all?
Yeah, well, at times when Casella's machine goes down, we have on occasion helped them out and let them use it for a day or two.
And has Casella reciprocated in kind?
Absolutely,
Excellent.
absolutely. It's excellent
Excellent.
relationships
They
up
built
there.
a cement wall down there. Have you been there?
Yeah.
To the transfer station? That was built by Casella.
And the next item on the list is our recycling HHW facility. I plan to continue with that project. And that's the project where we take the recycling center, or RDO we call it, because that's about at the end of its life. And the HHW depot facility is well over its lifetime to take those and merge them into one facility.
This is the area as you turn right at Gleason Road and head up towards the metal on your left. These are the facilities on your right.
On your right,
Yeah.
yes, sir. Yep.
Shacktown.
Shacktown?
Well, it
We're
doesn't
gonna talk
have
a
that
little bit about this
cohesive
in-
appearance.
Yes.
later on in the report from the engineer. The final thing is that right now we have 150 located in the capital project of the scale house at the transfer station, where we're going to put the scale house, which is in real bad shape, take that down and put it on the other side of the scale. And that way we'll open up that whole area. It will be safer, it will be efficient, and more secure, because everyone can see everything.
So it's only the scale house that's moving, not the scale?
Right.
Correct. Don't say anything bad about the scale.
No, I like the
Very
scale.
expensive.
We just,
Things of beauty.
we just
Before
fixed
I came
that.
here,
It's in good
I
condition.
like the scale.
very expensive. And this isn't going to include some stormwater mitigation, something that we inherited from the city that decided not to help us. One of my first things I did coming to the district is, hey, it's coming from your property up top, it's coming on to ours. And we've been fighting back since I've been here, a little bit each year. And if we were to get it fixed at the time that we're doing this project, it just makes sense. And that adds up to the 285.
The scale house project? Mine says 185, where's 285?
He's referring
Grand
to
total of funds for its capital improvement
For that
plan
year.
for 2020.
Oh, okay.
the 75,000 for the
I
wheel
see, I
loader,
see.
the 175
Yeah.
for the facility, and 35,000 for that. Is there any, what are we not, I see that there's items on this list. Is there anything on that will be added to this list upcoming, or is this is a pretty complete list of our capital
I think at this time, today, it's a pretty complete list. There's been a thought that I bounced around with the idea of how we can manage the wood chips up there. Right now, if we can get people to come and take them for free, there's different types of grades, good stuff, medium stuff, and stuff you use on your yard. And you're gonna see in the newspaper this Friday, hey, it's free, come and get it. We want people to come and get it. If you have a pickup truck, you need it full, give us a call so we can have someone there with a loader to put it in your pickup. It's a little fee, but if you have a shovel,
A fee for the
time and
Loaded
effort
to
for
do
the
it?
loader to do it. Because he has to take time out of his schedule
Mhm.
to come over and meet you for an
Mhm.
appointment and do that. But if you want to pick it up with a shovel and put it in your truck, it's all free
Yeah.
to anyone. So that helps offset any costs we have.
Is there anything mixed in with that? Because the gentleman, Dennis, that owns DePaulo Coffee in Mendon on Route 4, I told him about all that because he's really into that kind of stuff. And he says, you know, I asked about that, but they told me there's some garbage or something that might be mixed in with it.
Point of order, what is the capital component of the bark mulch?
Brush. Oh, is it brush?
Of this mulch you're bringing up?
The
We were
capital-
discussing capital, and now we're discussing mulch, so I just,
To my point, thank you.
I lost you, I'm sorry.
Is that we can get a Reed's screener?
Oh.
Someone that could filter very fine stuff, or like glue, maybe bigger pieces, and filter out.
I see, and I see you have the plan looking forward through the year 2029,
Correct, 5
so
years.
5 years. Is that, do you feel that those screens will land within this 5-year look ahead? If you were to add them?
It could be.
But it's-
It could be. I think
It's enough of a
that's,
could item where it's not worth putting on the list at this time.
this is something that can be added to it by the next meeting. I can take a look at, I haven't taken a look at the cost of these things. So I didn't want to put something, just put a plug number without doing any research on this.
Understood, and would there be other items beyond the screen that you would consider?
I haven't heard anything at this time. Brianna, anything that you can think about at the transfer station? I think right now we're focusing on these bigger projects, but, you know, it's good to forecast, we need to forecast 5 years out.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
How about a bathroom? Running water?
coming.
Well, that's what the,
That's not
the
gonna be
new-
within 5 years?
no, take a, what we're looking at is a transfer station, a recycling center
Yeah.
in the HHW is merging together. In that building, we're talking about having running water,
okay, yep.
bathrooms, showers, an office space, something that was gonna be
Face
able.
washing for chemical burns.
And a
Eye
shower.
wash station.
Eye wash.
And you're considering that as part of this $175,000 allocation for this year, and then over the next 5 years, a total of $870,000?
Correct.
That's the line item?
That's still not enough to buy it. Right now, I'll talk a little bit more to this when we talk about the engineering report in the next document that came in. And I emailed out to everyone if you don't have it. But,
So where do you want me to send this to?
just.
To the budget process?
No, it's here. We'll address it at the next scheduled meeting.
Okay,
No action.
no action.
Yep.
Okay. Next item is the monthly financials.
I'm going to defer to Mark, this just was, my voice is going to be shot.
Yeah. If you're taking a look into the financials, and this is something that came up at the executive board meeting, where we're tracking our revenues over our expenses to ensure we have enough money to do what we do. When you take a look at our revenues to this point in budget, this includes August, which is 67% of the budget. We have revenues of $1,616,062, which consists of 64% on that 67. So that's lower than what's budgeted. And then we have expenses of $1,612,886, which is 64%. So it's about the same. And the thing is, this gives us revenue over expenses of $3,176. This number is less than it was last
From
month.
January to August?
Yes,
That's not good.
that's something that we're looking at.
Do we actually, I was reading in the audit, the 2021 audit, do we actually pay $15 per cot for Casella to take away our food waste?
It's
18? So it went up to 18?
Yeah.
We don't have anybody around here that will just come get food waste for free?
You have
I
no
worked at-
idea what kind of conversation you are initiating there.
Well, I know when I worked up at the Mountaintop Inn, we had a lot of food waste. You know how many weddings they do up there? Like 5 a day sometimes.
Oh, boy.
We had a lot of food waste.
I'm just,
And we
yeah,
had
just
huge containers, more containers than what we have at the transfer center. That's how many containers we had up at the Mountaintop Inn. And we had somebody that came and picked that up.
It turns
did it for
into, we've
free.
discussed this on several times, and I'm not saying we shouldn't discuss it, I think we
Yeah.
should. It is an enormous conversation that has so many avenues to answer and questions. It just, talk about a ball of twine unwinding when we open this one up. I'm not against discussing it. We have discussed it in the past, and there's so many ways to get this done, and it's such a massive expense, and it's such a liability. There's very few folks and farms and haulers, and Middlebury has horses, and it ranges from horses to digesters, from, you know, $25 operations to $25 million operations, and wow. It just, and who participates and who doesn't.
So to get somebody to come and pick up the food waste, like a pig farmer or something,
They never
Is-
come through, they're not consistent enough, they're not big enough, they get too much, they get too little, they get the wrong mix of what they want. The pig farmer gets too much dairy and not enough protein.
Too much paper in it.
Too much paper.
Plastic in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Believe me, we've
All
touched
that
each
kind of
one of
stuff.
these, and each one of them comes back
So
not
all these
applicable.
compost companies that we have in the state of Vermont and right over the border, they're not interested in any of that, you don't think?
Not the way we're doing it right now. And right,
And we have actually called them and asked them.
In
That list
painstaking
of
detail.
composters that I sent
In
you,
detail.
like
Yeah.
10 of them, 10 to 12 composters.
there's a list of people, but the thing is, there's very specific things that they would take. It's like baking a cake. Some people like it, and it's all different. It's all
Yeah.
different, and this could be an agenda item in itself.
So where is Casella bringing it, that we're getting charged $18
Goes down to
a
Tam.
cart?
Tam.
Where's Tam?
Bennington.
Bennington area.
And then I believe they transfer it again out of state or somewhere. There's to a large facility, I forget exactly where it goes, but it has to make it to a facility that's large enough to be economically viable to deal with this stuff.
Do you know if any other transfer stations around here, or any other trash areas do food waste?
They all do, and I think they all do the same, they do virtually the same thing.
Casella picks it up?
They would pick it up. The thing is, Casella is the most lenient on the materials being put in it, like the bags, the bio bags
Yeah.
are the only.
Yeah, because you told me they're not going to be
Yeah.
doing bags
No
anymore.
one else wanted to do bags. Any farmer wouldn't do any bags, and there's a lot of more restrictions. And even with those restrictions, they're not gonna give us a better price.
Okay, even Hubbard's won't come do it?
They have no place to get rid of it.
They take it for free up there at their place.
I don't know where he gets, he just puts in his regular garbage truck, and away he goes.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have nothing up there to take care of.
processing.
He has a lot of trucks.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as his, up to where he is, he doesn't have no place to probably, you know.
He just commingles it probably.
Allegedly.
So, anything else on the budget report?
It's
I have something else.
what the budget is what it is. And you notice, this kind of goes back to the
And this is the new
discussion.
fee in,
Huh?
this is the new fee in.
With the $1 increase.
$1.
Yeah,
But you did the budget on a $2.50 increase.
that's correct.
So that's why the numbers aren't working out.
Right. Yes.
Because you did the budget on $2.50, they did the budget, or we did the budget on $1. So it's not matching at all. It is going to be a deficit. You're starting out at a deficit because the numbers aren't the same.
I make the point, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the reason that budget was budgeted that way was to account for the capital improvements that the board approved in the previous year.
Which is in here.
It's inclusive.
Yes.
It's
That's
each
in the
year,
budget.
Each and every year.
So there is something in this budget plan that I see, and it's under the Rutland County Solid Waste MRF, revenues, expenses, and the variance. It seems like every single paper that I look at here that has to do with MRF is in the negative. We are losing money with recycling. We are losing money with MRF. Now, we own the building, we rent it out to them or lease it out to them, but yet we are losing money.
It's mostly an accounting book transaction because the depreciation of the building goes through there.
So are we actually making money then?
No, I
No.
mean, on paper, you're right, it's about.
But as a
$1,000.
landlord, and I've been a landlord for 28 years,
Right,
if I was breaking even or losing money,
right,
I would be going up on the rent, or I would be doing something else.
right.
And the other thing that I looked at in the budget were the utilities. Now, the utilities, in the water and sewer, are they paying for their own water and sewer over there?
Yes.
So the utilities we see here is just for this little building?
The water and sewer is split 50/50. This whole property is billed at one
It's
rate.
with one bill.
Right.
Then they split the bill.
They split it with themselves.
Okay, so when I see that number on there for the utilities, that's not our half, that's the entire utility bill, and then they give us money?
No, that would represent half basically because it's.
So that's
it's going
our
in-
half.
It's going in originally at the full amount, and then when we get reimbursed, it's being reduced by that half. So in the end, it is showing our half.
Okay, because the year-to-date for utilities is $10,194.
Right.
What is utilities? Electric?
Yeah, we've got the.
Phone?
Yep.
Propane?
I'm not sure what their, I don't know, we pay Procter Gas for our usage. I'm not sure what Casella does for theirs.
How do we figure this out? Because we're losing money over there, and that's not good.
Well,
We're supposed to
Well,
be,
technically, we're not
The lease
losing
payment was
money, because you're taking a $41,000 depreciation in here. That's an accounting transaction you've got to do on your building. That's federal government requirement.
so I just asked our finance person and bookkeeper, who I think knows a lot, in the long run, are we making money? And he said no.
On paper, yeah,
Right.
but we also are taking on
Well, let's make
expenses.
believe it's not on paper. Do
Right,
you
but-
still think you're making money?
The issue is that we're locked in with the lease payment monthly because we have a,
And is that until
Agreement.
2031?
I'm not sure what year.
Did I
it's
read
set
that
to,
in the
25 years.
2021
We're
audit?
talking about Casella's.
Marcella with
That
Merck?
sounds right.
Yeah, something like that.
So we
we're-
can't change what we charge?
Yeah, it was originally set up, we owed them a pile of money 25 some odd years ago, and they set it up such that that would get reduced each month by basically a compensation for rent that they paid us. That money that we owed them is now gone.
Gone.
And so they pay us about $5,090 a
Yep.
month in rent. And I believe that's locked in for the duration of that contract.
I think till 2031.
Yeah, so,
Question over here.
My comment was to refresh our memories on the $3 million that, I believe it was $3 million. It was an amount, it was a substantial amount.
It was from Vicon.
Don't quote me on the number, but I think it was something in that range, if memory serves me correctly. And it was to our great benefit
yeah,
at the time. And so this is all based off of a substantial commitment, initial commitment many years ago that has been figured into this lease over time.
yeah.
I feel that looking at it in a one FY window may not be a fair representation of the entire relationship that has been over the last 21
Yeah,
years,
there was a
25
massive
years?
question as to whether the district could continue without that help, and Casella, graciously, worked with us to do that. Similar to the transfer station, of a similar program too. So,
Well, they're not losing money by doing that.
no, they
We
might
are,
hurt
but they're not.
themselves, but
I
they
wouldn't-
certainly helped us.
I don't know that I would
by a lot.
represent it as we're losing money either. I think that is not entirely accurate to say whether we're making or losing money. It's just a,
Right, a depreciation
it's
expense
a
is already
wash.
some cost.
It's
that
an
money's already been
intended, it's
spent.
an intentional wash.
Right, that money's for depreciation's already been spent years and years ago. We're just taking the expense for it year by year.
Because federally, we have to do that.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
So we set it up when we initially did that payment to cover the expenses and consider what it would be through 2031, excuse me. So I think if we want to revisit that contract, we should get all the data in front of us and have a more in-depth, detailed conversation than in this arena.
Absolutely, and I think that's what we should do.
Send that to people.
Well, I don't want to send it to your board. I've already been on that discussion. If
We have time,
someone else would like to.
Okay.
you know, I would recommend at least 18 months before.
And I'll bring you up a little information at the end of this meeting on why I would do that.
Okay, anything else on the expenses?
Finances?
Finances?
No, no.
I think I just would have to comment that I think at our next meeting, it's worth revisiting that initial $2.50 fee, and at least discussing that again if it's warranted.
If you want to add that to the agenda, we can do that.
I don't know, that remark may be the same as a question of, there was obvious concern about having only $3,000 over expenses for the year. So what would be the solution? Would it be what he basically said, have a discussion next month to see how we might fix that concern?
Yes, I think that was the motion.
Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind though is that that $3,000 revenue over expenses, you can also add to that every bit of money that we've set aside for the capital improvement plan.
Right, capital
Because we're expensing that month after month, money that the board approved for these capital projects. So it's like $25,000 a month extra that we're expensing to put towards these capital projects. So, you know, it's getting closer to 30,000, you know, revenue over expenses per month. But still, if we want to do these projects and have these things get, you know, built, keep our facilities up to date,
We're gonna run close to
really
another.
be considered.
Yeah, so really what we should be taking away from the fact that we're tight on last year's budget is that we should, during the budget discussions that are upcoming, and are not happening tonight, we should consider that we're tight and that we now need to more seriously take into account next year's budget to include that. Understood, thank you.
And the other thing I wanted to say was, one thing we're not even talking about, which is real important, is we're short employees. We still need to hire employees, so that costs more than $3,000, plus medical benefits that go with it.
Absolutely.
So you're really short, really. You're at a deficit.
That's correct.
Yeah. It's not good.
So this is added to the agenda for next meeting,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Who seconded that?
I'll second it.
There's no more debate, all in favor say aye. Are we doing it at home? I hear no no. Okay, motion carries. Okay, district managers report.
Short, we took care of a lot of the outstanding issues that were on there for almost a year, last meeting. And right now, we have audit paperwork for the new auditor that you awarded the bid to, and documents are coming back and forth. We notified the current auditor for them to get information, and they're going to be seeking information and sitting down with us for more information on the 2023. In the proposal, I suggested, but this is all somewhat flexible. If we don't have the 2022 done, how can they finish and start the 2023? I was hoping that we'd be working closer with the 2022 and wrapping these three items up this week and next week. Hoping that that's going to happen, and then we can rock and roll and maybe have the 2023 done around the new year.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That's the plan. That's what was in the proposal.
And I wouldn't pay them until we get it. Just my suggestion.
Yes, I agree. We did talk about, I'll talk to you if you didn't. So that brings me into the new stuff that happened before, and after this went out to press and to you, and if anything happens in the meantime, I'm going to talk about it. So I got an email from our engineer that's working on our transfer station scale project, the capital project, and in it,
This document right here.
In it, she talks about our agreement. This is something we do for all our major projects. is not my backyard or anyone's backyard. This is a municipal project, and we want to make sure it's done correctly. So one of the things that they talk about is, as you can see, talk about meeting communications, engineer and survey preparation. This is going to include some stormwater. This is going to include preparing the foundations for the new scale house and making sure we have the things necessary it's going to stand up. We're built upon some, not the average foundations. Talk about engineering design, and we talk about preliminary design, follow-up, 30% design, and preparing the land use engineering design plan depicted as proposed location, elevations, traffic patterns, gradients, and drainage, erosion control measures, utility coordination with other trades. That telephone pole that we see up there, everything on that side of the scale house is going to be gone, so we can see that whole plan over there. We'll have new traffic patterns, and more importantly, as I talked about when I first came here, we had some stormwater concerns. Everything's coming down to the scale, and it's a lot of work to maintain, to make sure everything's clean out of there, the debris. We have Fairbanks as a do maintenance every 6 months, and state comes and certifies us every June or so. So far, without issue, because of the hard work they're doing. I think that if we fix this once and for all, it's like drawing a line. Okay, it's fixed. Now we can focus on what we do. So, what I'm looking from the board is, if anyone has any questions on this, or as to next steps, I'm looking to get a motion to say authorize the manager to execute this agreement and to coordinate this project to completion as we did for the MERC project.
Question.
I had one over here first.
Mr. Shea, is this is the entire, this is in reference to the HHW facility planning?
No, sir.
Or no?
No, this is a scale house.
This is the
Scale
scale
house.
house.
Only
Which
the
is-
scale
which is-
house.
Oh, this is the line below it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Next
you.
is
And-
going to be the feasibility study.
And I see here we've got, because that will require MEP, architectural services and things of that magnitude. Here we've got, they're proposing a $16,000 expense for their engineering services, which is, in my mind, perfectly reasonable and appropriate. I see we have $35,000 allocated in our upcoming proposed budget for, this is considered as part of that, or this is considered separately from that?
This is in addition to, sorry about this, this is just, I hit the computer.
Oh, okay, I thought we were moving to the,
We have 150 in it right now.
Oh, I see, yes,
And
thank
this
you
is
for
going to
that.
add to the 150. But I
Understood.
think, I know the expense is going to be above the 150.
But we have the money, this is not an additional, it's already set aside, it's
we
allocated.
don't have to bond for it or anything.
Well, I mean, for this particular 16,000 is considered in that 150 that's already been budgeted, this is not additional costs.
Correct.
Yes, excellent.
So, I have a question. 15% contingency, that's not part of that 16, am I correct?
Say that again, Billy?
It says here, the line underneath that price is a 15% contingency advised to carry.
Yeah.
That's above the 16.
That would be on our side.
That's on our side.
That's on our side, so the 16,000 is on their side, and they're looking for 15%. It's prudent for us as the owner to budget
Our side.
our side for 15,000
In case something
Something
doesn't
happens.
work.
if something happens.
Okay.
So how did we
Question for you.
find, how did we find this? Did we put out an RFP for the engineering?
What
Or
I
did we
did is,
just choose it?
I reached out to engineers, and everyone is so busy.
So we didn't put out an RFP?
No, this is the only person that was interested, to tell you the truth. And I've worked with this company before, and...
This is Nicole?
Yes. Yes. Exceptional services.
She's good.
Do we
But I
have
just,
any
I just don't
requirement?
I don't understand this RFP stuff that we do not do. Like Omea, anything 3,000 or over, they do an RFP on. You know, it's like even a town, if you're on a select board, you don't just pick somebody
Well,
that you know or like.
There's varying degrees of.
You don't think this is a big job?
Well, Omea is gonna have their own internal, they're a privately held organization.
they are.
So they
They're the only
decide
ones.
what that threshold is, whether it's 3,000 or 300,000. They make that determination.
Right, you're from
in-house.
Brandon.
I think the district can have a threshold that they choose, but then there's the governing body that tells us as a municipality what boundaries we need to be within, and I don't know what that is.
Who's the governing body?
State of Vermont, Agency of Natural Resources.
So the governing body is actually going to tell you that you do not have to use an RFP? That you can just go and
I don't think that's, I don't
pick
think,
a couple of
I think
people?
what Gabe's is suggesting, I don't want to speak for him at all, but if you take a grant or you get FEMA money or you get a project.
Do we have grant money for this?
No.
Okay.
Their guidelines for accepting that
True,
grant and receiving
there
this
are.
money is.
But we don't have grant money for
procurement
this.
Typically, in my experience, and I do construction, is that the owners, whether they're municipalities or privately held organizations, will take the planning under their discretion. When the RFP comes into.
For construction.
Is when that project goes out to a CM, a construction management firm, who will present proposals in response to that request for proposals to manage the project.
To build it.
So is
To build.
Nicole going to do that? Is she going to be in charge of all this? Or are we going to be hiring all these people to work?
We would hire them individually as a CM or as a general contractor or whoever, so they don't work for each other, they work with each other, and they all work for us. So we would.
So you're going to have, so who's going to be the general contractor in charge of this whole project?
That's what the RFP would determine.
So you are going to put out an RFP?
No, at this point, what you see right now is I would be the project manager,
Okay.
coordinating experts and engineers to do their sections and bring.
And how are
To
you
get
going
the
to find
plan
them?
together.
How are you going to find those experts?
You see it right before you.
That's the proposal.
So go by whatever she says. That's what she'll be doing.
So if she said use Belden for this, use
No,
Casella for that?
She'll,
No.
she'll
That's
do
what I'm asking.
No.
no, that she's not going to determine any of that. She's going to determine the feasibility and the
She's going to do the
feasibility
engineering
of the
part of it.
project.
Right.
How it's put together follows her recommendations on the process, but the RFP and awarding those bids is up to us.
Yeah, so that's, I guess we've made this into a very complicated thing. That's all I wanted to know.
Yes.
How does that RFP work?
We put one out, it goes out.
We're
to the
gonna put
public.
one out.
Oh, yeah.
We-
Like
the
we normally do
district
for
does
the
that.
For the engineering.
The district does that.
Well, you
so-
say we normally do, but we didn't do for the.
No, so
So
you're,
this is for a particular
So-
service.
I think you're confusing the stages of the project, and I apologize
This is the first stage.
for jumping in.
No,
This
that's
is-
okay.
This is the first stage. We're using this individual, this group, as our consultant.
Yeah,
We as the board have decided that we entrust, we have hired a manager for the district, and we entrust them to take care of our day-to-day operations, and that's what they're entrusted with. And he has chosen to use an outside consultant to plan this upcoming project appropriately and within the bounds of the law, because he's not expected to be an engineer. We didn't hire him as an engineer, we didn't hire him as legal counsel, we didn't hire him as a plumber, we didn't hire him as a truck driver or any of those things.
no, I get what you're saying.
And
I
so
just
this
thought
is-
you would put out the engineering as an RFP too, because we do have a lot of engineers. So,
No, the engineer wouldn't reach the threshold of an RFP.
And I'll note that we reviewed multiple requests last meeting.
it's
for
over, it's
auditing services.
$150,000.
No, it's not. No, it's $16,000.
Oh, hers is only $16,000.
$16,000. That's a pocket change
Okay.
for, you know.
Yeah.
That is to
Well,
give
it's
us
not really
information.
pocket change.
Well, for her.
Because what is our minimum for doing an RFP?
This isn't RFP stuff, this is,
Well, let's say the next level is, what is our minimum that we do, that we go out for an RFP?
I don't,
20,000, 50,000?
It depends on the circumstance of what the
What we
thing
get
is.
from here, what's the next step after
We-
she gets the information together?
No, I'm just talking.
We don't
in
necessarily
general.
put out an
You understand what I'm saying?
RFP for a paper supplier.
The question is there an organizational policy about
Exactly.
what threshold
Yes.
does a project qualify for RFP?
Yes.
And what threshold is a project just delegated to the manager to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can have it where anything under $2,000, it's at the manager's discretion. Anything over $2,000 has to be an RFP. We don't have anything like that?
It's not the threshold in an RFP. I don't think that's how an RFP works. That we're mixing our terms. That's not how, that's just
Well, when I was on
That's
another
just
board, that's
spending.
how it worked.
for putting out an official RFP, an official
Yeah.
request for proposals for anything over $2,000 seems wildly onerous.
Well, I just use that number as just a number.
That's why we have
That's
a
the correct
policy.
number, and Dave, I'm gonna interrupt you, that is the correct number, that's what the town of Castleton does. Anything over $2,000, we gotta get 3
Yeah,
bids.
but
We will not
that's,
settle for anything less than 3 bids.
That's Castleton.
I just don't like,
Absolutely.
Everything does the same thing.
Yes.
Hubbardton does the same thing.
and that may be a functional policy of theirs. I don't know that there's a governing body requirement for us that says that we have to
I
have
just
that
think it's a
threshold.
good idea to show your open, honest policies with all the towns that are involved with the Rutland County Solid Waste, and it doesn't turn into a good old boy network.
So that,
That's what the 3 bids are for.
Exactly.
but this doesn't fall under that process.
This
We're
is,
hiring a consultant to give us the information so we can go to bid. That's what we're asking for.
we're looking to do this initial step so we can get into construction.
Correct. That's
And
when we
that
do the
step comes
RFP.
up, the manager will inform the board as the progress is going in.
Okay, we're gonna end it because
We've got an hour.
I am fine with you saying what you said, but I totally disagree. And I think there's other people here that totally disagree with you.
Same on board with you there.
So I would make a motion to authorize the district manager to enter into the agreement with Hanneman Kesselring for engineering services according to the proposal provided here.
Second,
Second, any more debate?
You need to have the dollar amount in there too. You need to put the
$16,000.
dollar.
Yeah, it's in there.
I said that.
That needs to be in there. I didn't
You
hear you
did.
say
He
it.
said that's it. If there's no more debate, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody at home? Everybody's all set at home, I hear any no's?
I'm gonna say no to it. Here. That's not right. It's not right.
I would almost like to, in the future,
You need to bring that up under other business?
we'll add that to the end, the rest of the stuff.
What would that be called?
We'll have to talk about it at the
Members
end.
concerned. Members concerned.
Mark, I asked you at a couple of meetings ago to put that on here so the members can speak, and it's still not on your agenda, so
Well, I can be the public.
that's not right here.
Public comment.
There needs to be a member comment on here.
You need to, you can't be talking unless we have something to deal with here. That's not an agenda item right now. Right now, we're in the public comment at this moment.
We're at public comment at this moment?
Yes, we are now.
Oh, we just moved into it?
He's all done with his manager's report.
Oh, you didn't say we moved into public
We've
comment.
gone over our time frame too, unless somebody wants to extend the time.
I will make a motion to extend it however many minutes. What time is it?
It's 7:40.
We're almost 15 minutes over as it is.
7:40, so to 8 o'clock.
I'm out of here, I gotta go.
We're
I'm not going to there.
Are we losing
I
a
can't sit around that long, my legs are
vote here?
hit for now.
I just got a few. Do I get a chance?
Members, public concern, yes.
Yeah, about
Yes.
the bid process on the RFP for the scrap metal. In our RFP, we wrote in there that we had a contract to call us. So I'm not sure how this whole thing started, but we never operated without a contract. So I don't know how Mark became to get this out for bid. But we wanted to be at the bid opening, there was no bid opening after we were done. We wanted to have the results to the bids. We were told no. We put an email, and then there was multiple phone calls to our different divisions asking for numbers after the fact. So I told Mark, and we wrote it right in the letter, that we have it. Now, the references of municipalities, we only have 2 left. We used to have Chittenden Solid Waste, Central Vermont, all of them. So that's what we gave for reference. If you think we only have 2 companies that we do business with, that's wrong, Mark. So I think you've been around enough. So also in the contract, we leave our containers, you don't load them. We have to come in and load our metal. So I don't know what theory, when you call us and what you've been thinking right along for a contract. I think you've been here how many years now? 5, 6, I don't know, 7? How many years you been here, Mark?
Do you know how many years you've been?
5 years.
5?
Okay. What knowledge did you think we were operating under? Nothing? If you wanted a contract, when you call the company, the owner, the people, the principals? Not employees, drivers, or dispatchers?
Did you call and ask them for the contract?
This is not a discussion, it's a comment period. And I need to get recognized by the chairman to speak. This is comments.
He's making comments.
So the thing is, we've always wanted to make the district successful. We've come in here when you guys didn't have equipment, broken down, loaded your stuff back when the old district manager was here. You know we come in with our magnet, you request to have us mag the ground so the loader don't get flat tires. You don't pay us, you don't do anything, you don't give us the metal. We used to get the metal for free when we magged it. It was under your request that you weren't going to do that. Nor would you load our containers. So when you take a hard look at this contract with the lawyers and whatever you're going to do, the way we get treated after 21 years of serving this community and serving the district, it's a kick right in the teeth. That's all I got to say. It's emotional. So I don't know why you went out, who came to you, sold you this bag of goods, whoever it was, Sean, I don't know how it all became. But you do an RFP, you put it out to public notice, you open it up publicly, you read off the bids so we can see it. You don't keep working afterwards to get numbers. Ours is spelled right out what we did. So we have a contract. And I think to break something like that over whatever gain that you think this district's going to make, you're going to lose. We give you an offer for a pilot program, and you say no. 3 months to prove you what we'll prove with our experience. But towns are all here to make their own decisions, and I think sometimes we do have a good old buddy network. We call certain people to want to do certain things, and I don't think it's above board. That's all I got to say.
Any other public comment?
So do I get to speak in public comment?
No.
You told me to leave till
No,
the
you're,
end?
you're a member of the board.
Okay.
Public comment is over.
Should do adjournment.
We have an executive session yet. There's issue.
And what about the questions I wanted to ask? When do I get to ask them?
You want to do executive session first, you want to do our thing first?
Okay.
We gotta keep it down to 5 minutes, because we're running out of time.
I'll do less than 5 minutes. I went to the transfer station, and we really need, I mean, we are really lacking employees, obviously, because, have you been to the transfer station
Yes, I
lately?
go there every week.
It is not nice. I mean, it needs to be maintained better. Did you see the load of metals? I mean, it's ridiculous how we have huge amounts of metal sitting there, and then we have all that mulch in the back. I mean, we have to be better at managing and organizing that transfer station. I never go there, so I go to another place, and I went to that other place today, and it's very neat and organized compared to ours. And the one that I go to, a lot of you talk badly about. that organization, and I don't see anything wrong with it. It saves me money. And I think with the amount of money, I don't know, this should be run better. That transfer station, I think, is awful. And I did call and talk to Terry at Addison County, and I asked her how her transfer station was, if she would consider it messy or organized, and she said it's very well organized. And I said, I would love to come down someday and see it. So I would love to have anybody else who would like to see and compare, or just see what other transfer stations look like. The other thing is, she also told me that she just put her recycling out to bid, and she found somebody to do her recycling, and they do zero sort recycling. I told her that Casella doesn't do zero sort anymore. She didn't know that. And then she had got local haulers. They are saving tens of thousands of dollars.
I want to see the numbers.
Okay, well, you can come with me and we'll go to Addison County.
You bring it to the meeting. Bring your information to the meeting and share it.
Okay. If that's legal, I'll do it.
Where is that?
Well, I don't know. You know, there's all these things. Like, I can't find out how much money we make off of the commercial part of our transfer station, because Mark said that's illegal. We can't know what people make off of things. But I guess the difference would be the numbers on what she was paying and what she's paying now. But I will do that. I didn't know you were doing that. I thought you were retired.
I work. I have a part-time job of 60 hours.
Okay.
I had one of those.
Mr. Chairman, if I can talk.
I'm done.
Okay. Related to the metal pile is what it is. It's been there well before I even started, and it fills up like that whenever the volume comes in. It won't be picked up until it's 30 feet high.
I think that's wrong. I think we should have containers there.
We do.
Can I speak again?
It's the idea of a proposal.
You don't load it.
Are we in a discussion phase, or are we?
No, we're not.
Let me,
He's answering the question.
He's okay.
So that addresses the metal pile. It is what it is going to be, and that's not going to change unless we come up with an idea of
I don't like
something
that
better.
answer. Well, yeah, there are better things.
I'm interested in other
Figure it
ideas.
out when we make the big move to do the big project.
You don't have to wait for a big project to do that move. The other thing is,
This-
there's a bunch of roll-off containers there filled with sludge that shouldn't be there. When you go past hazardous and recycling,
Yep.
they're all over there.
Yep.
They're not supposed to be there. That's what you told me.
It's more than what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, there must be, and I
The
did,
sludge is coming from where?
It's from various locations, from Casella was a drop-off stage here.
So they're sending them up to north.
you know, the other thing I was wondering is, we don't do zero sort recycling there anymore. Right? We only do
We have
plastics.
never done zero sort of recycling.
Okay.
I'm told,
Okay.
because it's so expensive.
Yeah, so I'm gonna bring you the numbers. So like, I was thinking, like, when I go, like, these bottles are 15 cents, but we're like throwing them in the glass. Everything's
We are
contaminated.
not, the consumer is.
The consumer up at our transfer station is throwing glass that's worth money in there. Plus, if they don't take this off, it's automatically contaminated, right? And then you have these other things, when they throw the wine bottles in, if they don't take the cap off, it's contaminated. So, in the plastics, when we're doing plastics, we get paid for like, and then here's another glass. And I went up there and all this stuff is together and thrown in there, and we're not getting the highest amount for our recycling, so we're losing money. And then our plastics, they only take what? Ones,
Twos, and fives.
2s, and 5s. Okay.
And no, yes, that's true.
1, 2s, and 5s.
And no black plastic.
And no black plastic. Is this considered a 2?
It's unrecyclable.
That's trash.
I was told.
Even though it says 2 on it?
Yeah, No, it's
With the
recyclable,
recycle thing?
but
That will get
I
caught in
was
the,
told it gets caught in the teeth and causes problems with the machine that shreds it.
So
I agree with what you're saying.
our plastics that we have there, because they don't pay a lot for fives, and because there's fives in there, we get paid the lowest amount of money. And because the glass is all contaminated, we get paid the lowest amount of money. And we're losing money with our MRF.
on the
with our-
glass,
The lowest price, I believe, is Kobe, which is the zero sort, because it has to go through the MERS system,
Over here.
and that costs that processor. We've been on tours out there, that's an enormous facility.
I
It has
know.
decappers, it has, sorts all of that. So the more that's focused, and there is an acceptable amount of contamination, I don't know exactly what that number is, but there's an acceptable amount, and there's a process within each one of those to, the caps on those are not uncommon. I don't know how they handle it when it's mingled out,
every
but,
bag that takes it away, so it's okay.
Right, yeah.
so
I was
that's,
on the board with you when we voted to do zero sort
yeah,
with Casella. And Bruce Bentley was the chair.
yes.
The other thing is, there's a lot of like Pepsi Cola or Coca-Cola bottles, those tin cans, and I said, why are they going in with recycling? Why aren't they going to the side? Because they're worth money. Well, your response was, you make more money doing the recycling than you do with cashing them in.
Recycle the tin.
Yeah, and you make more money doing that
Yep.
than cashing it in.
Cash it in, yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right.
The fire sense piece doesn't consider our labor to sort it all out, and the consumer has.
Well, we wouldn't be
decided
sorting it
not.
out, because we don't sort it out now. We have other people sort it out. We have a container there for tin, we have a container there for glass, we have a container, so we're not sorting it.
Timeframe, Mr. Chairman?
Timeframe? 7:53. Do we want to go into executive session for this item? Okay. You got the motion?
Mr. Chairman, we have another member here that, we're still in the member discussion. We'd like to
No, we're not. We're out of that.
We went out of member discussion?
Yeah, he's not a member.
No, he.
Oh,
Public
Yeah, public.
comment, you said we're still in
Yeah, we're
public
out of public
No, we
comment.
exited public and we were into an added unit, correct?
Correct, we're in the members' concern,
Well, this is,
Which wasn't on the agenda.
which is not on the agenda.
No,
Technically, we should not
we-
be doing it either.
Did we move to add that early on?
Nope.
No.
We did not.
No. But are you out of courtesy gonna
Yes,
let,
we're now going to executive session to deal with an item that was sent there, and we have now the information for the member to share. I'm just waiting for a motion, the right motion to go into executive session.
So you're looking for a motion to go into, to enter executive
Yeah,
session?
but there's a.
this is under leases and contracts.
Contracts. So what's the motion?
To move to go into executive session to cover leases and contracts under 313. I wasn't sure we were gonna do this time, so not, it's,
so we're going into executive and not letting Kevin have another moment to say what he wanted to
Public
say.
comment is only 2 minutes.
It's over, I'll get it next time.
but it's under leases and contracts.
Okay, motion to, so move.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.